So Nikita has just revealed a few new things about the release, such as how many players he expects to actually escape from the game. But firstly, we're going to talk about the most important thing, which is that there might be one more wipe before 1.0, which is new information. We didn't think there was going to be another one. And he basically says that he is thinking about testing a softcore version of the wipe as opposed to the hardcore version that we've just had. The timing and the date is not known at the moment, but it sounds like it might be October, somewhere around then. But all of this information, you can hear it from the horse's mouth right here. I'll show the clip and you can listen to exactly what he said.
So a little bit of insider information. As you know, right now we have a hardcore wipe. It's a little bit controversial, but I like it. And so we decided that we still have time till the 1.0 release, and we will have a period of time. It could be another wipe. It will be called SoftCore Wipe. It will be for those who just want to chill, you know, and it will be really smooth, everything will be fine, we're all friends, blah, blah, blah. Like just to have a comparison, just to have like the difference between them. So maybe it will be with white, maybe without, we'll see. And there we also will test skill progression levels and everything like that.
So Nikita had hinted this previously on Twitter, basically saying they might do another wipe for doing a softcore, but then apparently Pestley went and spoke to him and he said it wasn't going to be a wipe or something, so maybe he's changed his mind. This does mean that wipe would be extremely short, given that we are only 2 months away from the 1.0 release date. Actually, less than that. We've only got the rest of September, October, and then November the 15th is supposedly the actual release date of Escape from Tarkov into 1.0. This footage, by the way, is from a Q&A posted at the Tokyo Games Show that BSG are currently attending at the moment. And this was an open Q&A with basically a crowd of people asking questions of Nikita. So thank you to Trent for posting this up so we could hear his responses. It was a little bit difficult to translate everything because the questions were in Japanese and then they were being translated to him on stage where we couldn't actually hear. So some of the questions you have to kind of infer and use the automatic Google Translate because I don't speak Japanese myself. We can kind of get a good understanding of what was asked though, based on the translated version on YouTube through Google and also Nikita's answer. The question that was asked that this ended up piggybacking onto was about skill progression and rebalancing the skills, so endurance and metabolism and that kind of thing within EFT, because a lot of the time you get up to max level or you get up to Kappa or whatever and you've still like nowhere near max skills. And so it was talking about that, and this wipe, I think the idea of this wipe mainly from what he said is going to be to test some of these features that they've been rebalancing and doing some research into and figuring it out, because until you go and test it out with the whole player base, you're just never going to be able to tell, which was always one of my concerns about 1.0 with potentially new systems and new paths of progression, that people are going to find things that BSG just can't spot, because when you've got 300,000 people looking at a particular system, they could beat it in ways that you may not expect. Next, he had this to say about the actual 1.0 content and getting to the end game and escaping from Tarkov itself.
There is the main thing about 1.0 is basically you're able to escape from Tarkov. We will have a special mission, like special quests, totally separate system that will allow you to complete a lot of things and finally escape from Tarkov. So that's the main idea, the main thing about 1.0. There will be 4 different endings, and it will depend on your completion and progression and everything like that. And for those who want to achieve, who want to escape with the best ending, it will be really hard, and actually not everyone will escape from Tarkov at all. I think it will be something around 2% of all the player base. So it will be really hard, it will be really challenging, and you can treat it as an achievement of your life to finally escape from Tarkov and be happy, I don't know.
It's hard to know exactly which statistics Nikita is talking about for this 2% of the player base, but just for context, using the in-game stats, those people who have met Lightkeeper on their account is 0.9% of the total player base. So that may well just include everybody who's ever bought an account or everybody who's played after the achievements came in. It's hard to know exactly what that specifies, but if Nikita's just looking at that and saying, okay, we'll make it slightly easier than Lightkeeper to at least escape from Tarkov, it may not necessarily be the best ending, but you can at least complete it. I expect the escape from Tarkov itself to not be as difficult as Kappa, but to be as difficult as getting to Lightkeeper at least once. So in terms of wipes, somebody did ask a question. I couldn't quite translate it properly. Something to do with the Christmas or New Year's wipe and whether there was going to be one of those as well, given 1.0. And you can again listen to Nikita's answer here as to what he had to say about it.
That's a really interesting question. Because I really don't know actually, because we didn't thought about it. Because all of all of our guys, like right now they're working on polishing everything and preparing the release. And we didn't actually thought about it, like, will it be additional wipe on New Year's Eve or not? Because it will be pretty short time, 1.5 months. That's the question. Thank you for that. We will discuss it later.
I would be surprised if they end up wiping at Christmas, if they've already had the 1.0 release be on the 15th, because as Nikita himself says, it's only 1.5 months. It's a very short period of time. If people are playing for the first time into EFT, they're trying to get some new players in, I think wiping in 1.5 months is probably a little bit short-sighted for those people who've just begun. Interestingly, he was asked about 1.0 with wipes or no wipes, and we hadn't actually heard anything from Nikita for a long time, actually until after PvE was implemented. And so some people had been speculating that PvE was going to be the non-wipe version and that the main account was going to be the wipe version, maybe something like this, just because we hadn't heard from them in such a long time. So this question was actually asked whether there'll be wipes in 1.0 or not, and exactly how that will work, and he said this.
With the 1.0 release, I have heard that there will no longer be wipes. Will there be something like seasons, or will there still be wipes, or what is currently the plan after 1.0?
We plan to have additional seasonal character, and it will be with wipes, but the main character will stay without wipes. That's the plan.
And what I find interesting about this particular answer is that he mentioned that the main character will stay without wipes, but you'll get an additional character for seasonal. Presumably these two characters are kind of equal, but just the way that he thought about it, that our main character that we're playing right now, like our main guy, he is going to be a non-wipe character. And then we're going to get a new character that's going to be something else. As I said, maybe they're both equal, so it doesn't really make any difference. You're just picking between one or the other in the launcher or in the screen before you go in. But it's interesting just the way that he's thinking about it, that originally they really didn't want to have wipes, but they are going to have a seasonal account as well, which I presume most people are going to play. There was a question about bear and USEC, whether there will actually be some kind of bear advantage on any map, and he said this.
So yes, we plan to have something like that. For example, we will have we will have Russian armed forces units roaming around, and they will not kill you if you are the bear, basically. And also on the terminal mission, maybe we will do that thing also, that if you are USEC, you will have no help from them, RUAF, but if you are bear, you will get help from them too.
So it does sound as if there is going to be RUAF somewhere in the game. I don't know if that's going to be on all the maps or just guarding certain places. You could imagine them on Shoreline, for example, guarding the terminal or even the road to customs. Maybe they're just on streets roaming around. It's hard to tell at this point, but it does sound like there's some anti-USEC mechanic coming so that it's not just strictly an upgrade to pit USEC like it is right now because of the advantage you get on Lighthouse. We all saw the terminal footage from the last event that they did where people were playing there, and we know that there's RUAF on that map as well as Black Division. So as he said, you may get an advantage in that last mission. He hasn't decided yet because maybe that's a little bit too overpowered to not have any help as USEC and to get help from RUAF as bear, but we'll just have to see when it comes out. It also sounds like the zombie event is coming back. Somebody asked a question about the zombie event, about whether they were going to bring something like that back, and basically Nikita said this.
This is my favorite event too. Zombie event is the best. And of course we plan to have it bigger and cooler because we actually didn't do a lot of things related to that event in the first place. So the next thing, the next event, I'm not sure about this October one, but the next it will be like more enriched and more cooler version of first zombie event.
So it's interesting that he said that they didn't actually have to put that much work into the main zombie event, and the next one's going to be more enriched and more fun, which is really cool, because I know a lot of people really enjoyed the zombie event. People were still talking about it in my chat this week, for example, talking about fun things that BSG have done. So I'm very much looking forward to that. There was a question about the plans to connect all the maps together. Interestingly, he said that they have plans to connect them still and make it seamless, but just technically it doesn't really seem to be possible, but it's still in their plan. So maybe further down the line, they're going to try and do something else. I don't really know, but this is exactly what he said here.
We always had plans about it, but it depends on the technical side of the game. So we're still searching for the best solution, how we can do it technically perfect. So yes, it's in the plans, but I don't know when exactly it will be possible actually.
We got a little bit of new information about the way that the progression is going to work in 1.0 off the back of a question about boss spawn rates being 50% like they are now.
It's possible, because there is one special thing for the 1.0 that nobody knows, and you will know it in the first place, that you will need to open locations starting from the ground zero. So basically, you'll receive the first quest, and you need to open all of the locations one by one. And this actually will slow progression and will help you to get into the game easier. And maybe in that case, we'll have the spawns increased. And that's the question.
So it does sound as if in 1.0 you are going to begin on ground zero, you can't play any of the other maps, and then you're going to maybe have to do a quest to unlock them, or at least visit that map to unlock it and move from one map to another at the beginning, which, as he said, is going to slow the progression down a little bit at the start, but hopefully it won't just be pure transit, you know, you're strictly locked in every single location every time. So we'll see. Maybe some maps will take longer to unlock than others, but that seems like an okay balance rather than not just having transits be permanent and all the time. Nikita was asked about the future of EFT, if there's any other weapons and content and things like that coming after 1.0, and he said, of course. He said some of these things they've been modeling for 3 years, haven't made it to the game yet, so there's a big plan, at least for, you know, the first next 2 years, for content to be coming out, and they plan to support and produce lots of content for at least the next 5. So it does sound pretty promising that there's going to be a ton of stuff coming after 1.0, so we'll just have to wait and see what they do. Each seasonal wipe is supposed to be a little bit different, but it does sound like they have put in also some extra things for beginners so that it's not so hard to actually begin and start the game. Nikita says in this particular clip here that 1.0 is going to be the best chance to start playing EFT because of all of the new assistance they've put in for new players.
Unfortunately, no mercy for the new players, but with the 1.0, we designed this beginner level of gameplay and overall progression for the beginners. So basically we'll have a lot of helpful things at the start to help you start playing the game. So basically 1.0 is the best chance for you as a beginner to start playing Escape from Tarkov.
The final question of the important stuff, as I see it at least, was one about whether they're going to rework Lighthouse. He didn't commit to anything in any particular way. He said, why do you hate it? And they went through a list of various reasons. And he basically just said, get good. You need to get better. So whether they're actually going to do it or not, I know that he's talked about it in the past. I know they're thinking about it, but he didn't reveal any information at this time. So there you have it. If you want to go and have a look at the video yourself, I'll put a link down in the description. As I said, it is a bit tricky to parse what's going on because all the questions are in Japanese and you have to go into the transcript and translate them or try to use the closed captioning. It's not really that easy to follow what's going on, but this is the first time we've heard some of this information and reiterating some of the things that we haven't heard for a few years. So it was definitely a good interview to check out some of the questions for, and I'm excited for 1.0 when it finally hits. So as always, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as usual, have fun in your raids.